Welcome, welcome to the new folks joining. And I think we can get started. Most people have joined. So welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here with us tonight. We're at our first event of 2022 and we're so excited. For people who joined us later, I'm sharing my screen so I won't be able to see all of the chats, but if you have any chats, Anna can help you out or can let me know to stop talking to answer your questions. And you'll see I'm in our music room right now because I couldn't get the printer to work. So I'm sharing a screen and my notes are on the screen. So enjoy the beautiful guitars of my partner behind us. And we'll get started. So welcome to our first event of 2022. My name is Jennifer Lawrence and I'm the new executive director of the Sasaki Foundation. I go by Jennifer or Jen, so feel free to call me either. I'm so pleased and honored to be here with you tonight, and we have about an hour together. And I'd like to introduce you to myself, but I know we also have a bunch of new folks here who might not know about the foundation. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the foundation has done over the past number of years and a little bit about what we're hoping to do in the future. And I'd also like to talk with you all. So we're gonna do a quick slideshow presentation and then we'll open it up so that you all can ask some questions and we can talk and get to know one another. So my passion for what I do and why I do it is community engagement and youth empowerment. It is what I focused my career on, and I'm going to take you through a few slides to talk through that. I am not as good as Anna is at doing these, so you'll notice very drastically when she created the beautiful slides and when I just threw pictures on there, so you'll see that quickly. For the past 15 years, I've focused on meaningfully engaging with the community to co-create innovative and impactful solutions to challenges in our neighborhoods. I began my career at Groundwork Somerville, and for folks who don't know, that picture on the left of the screen is their beautiful farm. It's right on South Street near Boynton Yards. I served as their second executive director. And Groundwork Somerville is an organization committed to making Somerville a more sustainable, equitable, and livable community through youth empowerment, through community-led design processes, urban agriculture, and education. There I created their youth employment program, which is called the Green Team. And it's still a thriving, amazing, beautiful tool for young people in the community. 10 years ago, I moved to the city of Cambridge. Moved from Somerville to Cambridge, and I served there as the first sustainability planner. We were at the Community Development Department, which is the planning department for Cambridge. And my job was really to engage the community in our climate change and sustainable transportation planning processes. Through that work, I was able to serve as the co-facilitator of the Food and Fitness Policy Council, which in Cambridge is the mechanism through which the Community Health Improvement Plan, Healthy Eating and Active Living focus area is implemented. So I served there for 10 years and about 8 years. I was the co-facilitator. Then I got to do this amazing project. Has anybody here heard of the Community Engagement Team in Cambridge? Any hands up? Oh, a couple, great. So the Community Engagement Team is this incredible program where the city of Cambridge hires community members from traditionally underrepresented communities in either city planning processes or underserved in the programs provided by the city. These outreach workers is what we call them, then work within their communities to educate about those programs, to gather feedback on community planning processes, on visioning processes, program development. And their main goal is to ensure that community voice is heard and also that community members know about the programs that were created for them. We decided that we wanted to make a training program for city staff and people who do outreach with the community to know how these outreach workers do their work so that they could mimic doing that in their own work. So it's a 7-week training program, it's free, and I get to serve as the Making Connections Steering Committee chair with another amazing community member. And we taught about building relationships, about using the empowerment model, about understanding our biases, communication skills, setting boundaries, and community leadership. It's phenomenal. So if you haven't heard about that program yet, definitely go and check it out. It's amazing. I was able to serve there for about 7 years, and it's one of my saddest things in coming to the Sasaki Foundation. I'm going to miss them a lot. They're amazing. So, as most of you will learn quickly about me, I am very passionate about youth engagement and youth empowerment. I feel that often youth hold more creative ideas than we adults do. And I have worked for a long time to engage young people in planning processes, job creation, educational opportunities. And a few years into my tenure at the City of Cambridge, I served as a judge for the EF Local Challenge. Has anybody seen that program before? It's with EF Education First in the City of Cambridge and the Cambridge Public Schools. It's really, really cool. So the challenge is, it's a design challenge. High school students come up with an innovative solution to generally an environmental challenge that has global impacts and also affects us here in our community. So they use their school hours, they come up with their ideas, and they use the design thinking model and pitch their ideas to judges, a panel of guest judges. The winners receive paid trips abroad. I came in as a judge about 8 years ago, and working with EF, we said, you know, we need to figure out how to make this a little more impactful. So we went to the city manager and we said, we need to expand this program. This is pretty great. And we were able to get some funding to incorporate paid internships and seed funding for the team. So the teams would come on similar to the seed program at Sasaki Foundation, and they would implement their ideas, and they would take the entire summer, the funds, the work that they had done throughout the year, and make their ideas a reality. And some of the stuff they came up with was unbelievable. Over the years, we were able to work with about 1,000 students, and we had 200 paid summer internships. And the projects ranged from art installations about communicating climate change to a clothing swap that I never would have thought of this. They decided to do a clothing swap to decrease the pollution of the fast fashion industry, because if you're swapping, you're not creating new. They came up with this new superhero named Captain Change, and you can see him right there. He's a little planet with a superhero cape. And they taught thousands of children through the Boston Harbor Islands for over one summer about climate change. They also installed real-time transit displays in businesses around Cambridge. And for those of you who live in Cambridge, you'll know that there's a new bus lane on Mass Ave. That was their idea. They piloted it, they created it, they went out in rush hour traffic. I was terrified, and made one. And it was really, really fantastic. Another project that we do, and this is near and dear to my heart, is Parking Day. And I'm sure many of you have seen it before, but I created a program called Parking Day, and we took over parking spots and turned them into something else for a day. It's an international day. I just copied it and brought it to our region. By 2019, the last time we had an in-person event, we engaged with 75 community partners and took over 150 spots. And the most meaningful part about it is that people can see how large that space is, and you can really start to re-envision what you can do with just a simple parking spot. It doesn't just need to be for the use that it is now. That's just a quick bit about me. We'll go into more after. I would love to just talk to you all a little bit about what the foundation is. Who here knows, and I'm scrolling through, who knows about the foundation now? Board members, I know you do. Oh, great. Lots of folks. So I'll go right through this really, really quickly. At the Sasaki Foundation, we believe that design has the power to address the most urgent challenges facing us, from social equity, mobility connections, community health, to environmental resiliency. Design is an agent of change, and yet access to design, especially for the communities who need it the most, is often limited. The core mission of our foundation is grounded in equity. For centuries, our built environment has reinforced social and racial inequities, particularly in Black and Brown communities. we are committed to working towards dismantling these injustices with our partners. We hope to make meaningful and lasting change, and to do that, the boundaries that separate practice and research, academia and industry, and the profession and the community must be blurred and bent. Making changes requires collective impact. So our work is at that intersection. It's the intersection of research, practice, and community. And we are committed to working with our partners to co-create that change. So many of you know this because I see so many familiar Sasaki faces here. So I won't spend too much time on this, but the foundation was created in 2000. And I just want to mention really quickly who our founding board of directors were and who our current board are. And many of you are here tonight, so thank you. The founding board of trustees included Ken Bassett, Elizabeth Meek, James Suckerforth, and Alan Ward. And our current board includes Marianne Ocampo is our chair, Elaine Limmer is our vice chair, John Sincala is our treasurer, and Chris Scarzi is our secretary. And we have Meredith McCarthy and Tao Zhang as trustees. So thank you for being here. I see some of you. And then you'll see if you're looking at any of the folks in the room, Anna Sherling and myself are the staff. And then we're really lucky to have dozens of you Sasakians with us every year to implement our programming. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. So the big part, what do we do? How have we achieved our impact? We have 3 pillars. We have research, public programming, and design education. Right now I'm just scrolling through pictures, but this is amplifying voices, connecting communities, and our impact. And all of those, I wanted to put those pictures up and Anna put them in for me, as you can tell, because they're very beautifully placed. The work that we do is really with you, and I was hoping that you would see some pictures that you remember from when we could actually be together in person. So from 2018 to present, we have had 120 plus ambassadors. And this week alone, which you'll see in a couple slides, we had even more ambassadors join us. And what we call ambassadors are our Sasaki partners who come with us and participate in these programs. We've had charrette volunteers supporting 13 grant teams. We've had program speakers. We've reached over 6,600 attendees. You know, I guess one benefit of having this virtual programming is that we can reach a lot more people in an easier way. We've had mentors for SEED, which is our summer exploratory experience in design. You'll learn more about that in a minute. Our design mentorship program, and even more. So our research, we have a new grants round that was launched last week. So I'll put a link up later, and you might really quickly hear my cats banging against the door as hard as they can, so my apologies. We have a new design grants process that was just launched. We'll put the link out at the end in the chat. But this year, we are focusing on proactive approaches to climate adaptation, new models for housing, innovation in transit and access to mobility choices, creative community building, and we added an additional focus area this year to focus on innovation in health and well-being. Nope, that got messed up. Sorry, folks. Okay, so our programs and communications in 2021, we had 23 design education mentors, 50 design education students, 59 ambassadors, 2,100 average website visits a month, over almost 3,000 followers across all channels, which is pretty good for a foundation, 3,000 individuals on the mailing list. All right, so Anna put together these great slides that show the diversity, equity, inclusion in our design grant applicants. I'm not going to read them out loud to you, but we just wanted to show a little snippet of what we've done since 2018. So we, in 2018, relaunched the foundation in a little bit of a different way. We had a strategic planning process and we focused on these 3 pillars. And research was one of them. And through that, we have created this design grants process. So you can see that in 2018 and 2019, we had 22 teams who applied, and you can see that the demographics of those applicants. 2019, 2020. And then 2021, you can see the dip down, pandemic. But our demographics held through. And then here are some of the folks that we have been able to work with. Has anybody heard of There Lynn? It is a really amazing program. I've been spending a lot of time on the website. You should definitely check it out. It's pretty phenomenal. They also worked in Malden. The Density Atlas is a resource for comparing densities from around the world. And it was developed to compare urban settlements using a standard metric and scale system. The comparisons will allow planners and architects and developers and students to understand implications of population, the building footprints, your urban design and residential densities. And these are all right on our website. These are just little snippets. So in 2018 and 2019, we had some really amazing programming. The Charles River Floating Wetland was funded and then installed in June 2020. Has anybody seen the Charles River Floating Wetland right next to the Longfellow? Yeah, it's beautiful. It's really cool. We're going to talk about that a little bit later as well. "800 plants representing more than 20 native species. And one thing people might not know is that this group was able to work with a team of high school students to create a video game that represents the wetlands. And in the video game, you can basically purchase the plants and the native plants and flora to be able to impact the cyanobacteria in the river itself. And you can see your impact go up and down based on what you purchase. And it's really, really neat. It's high school built and developed. The Eastie for Eastie team engaged with more than 150 individuals. And then our public programming focused, and I'm just looking at my screen. I did not unhide these ones. So the public programming, we did a series of speaker panels throughout all of 2018, 19, 20, and then in 2021, we did a whole series virtually. And we were able to engage, as you saw on the first screen, with 6,600 people through these programs. Our design education program is what I'm going to talk about the most, because I think that's where many of you are the most excited about, though I may be assuming incorrectly. Our design education program has had, over the course of its life, 33 design education mentors, 78 design education students, and Anna, I updated based on this week's programming. And you can see here just a few snippets of what folks said about the program. And I'm going to talk through what each different aspects looks like now. So we have a program called SEED, which is our summer program. And through this summer program, this year, we're hopeful to have 12 students. But students learn in a full-time paid job from principals, associates, landscape architects, designers, architects, city planners. They learn from everybody. And they really learn exactly what it looks like to be in this field. And what we've seen, and it's been really amazing, is that young people, as we know, are very creative. They come up with these amazing ideas and they want to do this for their job. And that is our goal. Our goal is to build this next generation of city planners, of urban designers, of architects, of landscape designers. And it's been really powerful. You can see here who our SEED mentors have been over the years. You're going to recognize lots of your colleagues and friends. And in 2022, we're hopeful to engage with 12 high school students and 4 college teaching assistants. And we're just getting started planning. So if anybody is interested in partnering, let us know how. You can email me, J. Lawrence, and it's at sasakifoundation.org. We're looking for mentors. We're looking for partners in the community. We're looking for sites that you might want students to help co-design. Our design mentorship program is a middle school mentorship. This is showing our 2019 and 2020 Watertown program. And now with the move to Boston, we're going to engage with Boston schools in the fall. And it's just a really amazing opportunity for middle school students to figure out what design is. Who here, when you were in middle school, knew what a designer was or an architect? I don't see any hands. I had no idea. An urban planner, an urban designer, I didn't know what that meant. And so it's really, really powerful to work with these young people as middle schoolers. They then go into the high school seed program or into another high school program throughout Boston, and then go on to school and become the next generation of planners and designers. And then this one I just added today because we did it yesterday. We are also partners on the Architecture and Design Bootcamp, which the BSA puts on every year. And this year we are able to work with 20 Boston high school students, last year 15. And it's a February vacation camp. These students come, they take their vacation, and they spend it with us, and they learn the very basics of design. They learn about landscape architecture, a little bit about interiors design, and a little bit about urban design. And then by the last day of their program, which will be this Friday for this year, they've come up with an amazing program. And so on here, it's just a little snippet. It's hard, it's virtual, but they're using Miro like pros. They learned how to use it yesterday morning, and they already are much better than I think I will ever be. And they're starting to think about, what is design? What does it mean to me? How does it impact me? What's in my life? And then multiple of them have already asked if they could be in our seed program this summer, which is really phenomenal. So our partnerships are really critical. We're a very small team, and we want to have a big impact, and we want to co-create change. And to do that, we need a lot of partners. So since the beginning, we have had 128 partnerships. This is within academia and industry, civic leaders, community organizations. And this week, we've created a few new partnerships with the BPDA and working with them on their youth engagement, very nascent youth engagement program. And we couldn't do it alone. That's the point of all of this. If we want to change our industry and who is in it and who has access to it, we need a lot of partners to do so. I am going to skip this one because I already showed it to you all and stop sharing my screen. And we're just going to open it up for any questions folks might have. And apologies for my horrible tech skills, but I'll get better maybe. So who has any questions? I just really want to meet everybody who's here and talk to you all. Questions, thoughts, comments? You can put it in the chat too. I can now see the chat. Yes, Hannah, I'm just looking at your comment. It's very impressive guitar knowledge, I have to say. Let's see, maybe we can, does anybody, I'm trying to think of some prompts for questions. Does anybody have thoughts for what the foundation could work on in 2022 and 2023? What if you were designing the future of engagement with young people in the design profession? What might it be? Tao?
Or volunteer. So you can contribute ideas or contribute time, participation. Yeah. So yeah.
That's a great question. So what are some specific volunteer opportunities for Sasakians? We have so many. Our most pressing that are upcoming are our need for mentors with our youth programs. So our seed program takes place over the summer, and Meredith has a very robust program planned, which means we need a robust team of volunteers. Through that program, we're looking to get about 18 of you to come and work with us. And it would be, the seed program is 6 weeks long. And we look for folks to engage for a week at a time, not for the full time for the week, but for a few hours for each week of that program. It runs July 11th through August 19th. And we are looking for people to give their time for 1 3-hour stretch for one of those weeks. It's split up, it's not all at once. I believe it's an hour and a half one day and then half an hour or so each other day. That is a great one to volunteer with. Once we have in-person events again, we're going to need some ambassadors to help us with those. And we're hoping those will start as soon as we're in the new building. So anybody who is interested in volunteering in that way, we could definitely use it. We have the design boot camp that we just did is amazingly fun. And so if anybody is interested in giving a few hours in February, we might do another one during April vacation. Please get in touch. Anna, do you have the Google form that we could put in the chat?
Give me just a minute, I will drop it.
Thank you. There's a Google form that Anna created where you can put your information in. We also have the design mentorship program, which we do not have timeline on that yet, but we're hopeful for the new school year. So that will be in the fall. Yes, thank you, Tamar. Sasaki has a Sasaki's volunteer policy. It's 8 hours of work time a year. 8 hours a year.
Not per week, per year. My wish.
We could keep pushing for more. But that is a great way that you can work with us, is you can volunteer time. We're hopeful that once we have a new set of grantees, which they will be decided upon in early June, the pitch night is May 25th. So everybody should put that on your calendars. May 25th, we're going to be having a pitch night and anybody is welcome to come and join us, hear the pitches, see a new space. It's not going to be at Sasaki because we're not going to be back yet, but it will be in Boston. But once we have those new grantees, we'll be needing some assistance. Each team works with a team of designers on coming up with solutions to their challenge. So we would love your help then. That will be late fall, probably winter. Any other questions? You can put them in the chat. You can unmute. I didn't talk about myself much. My apologies, but I'm happy to answer any questions folks have. Oh, Dennis, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I have one question. I don't know if it's possible or viable, but in the summer, we ran kind of parallel to the Boston Seed. We ran a program called Ghana Seed, which was set, which was a collaboration with an organization in Ghana, Accra, and we had been approached a few years ago by a fellow who had a foundation that was very interested in the education of young people in the field of design. And this one was particularly focused on high school students who would be interested in going on to higher education in all the kind of disciplines that we have at Sasaki. And so actually a number of people from the foundation and Jill and Marianne and others joined in Lan Ying in a whole series of what we organized as seminars around themes, Tamar and others. And it was very interesting. And it had this, you know, it was clearly reaching out beyond the Boston community. And the foundation has been very involved in the Boston community. And I wonder, some of these engagement ideas or, you know, how do we expand to an international marketplace where a lot of our work occurs? And I have to say, just thinking about community engagement, it's far less developed in the places where we work. We did a whole series of engagement activities for a project in Chile, but I don't think we've ever done it where we're working in India or even Vietnam or other places. I think we've done some in China. But anyway, I'd be curious to know what you and others think of these issues internationally.
That's such a great question. And I love the idea of the Ghana seed. I didn't know that had happened. I'll have to look into that. So we are about to go into a subsequent strategic planning process. Our strategic plan ran out at the end of last year. So we're into a new one. And this is on our plate to talk about expansion and when does it happen and how does it happen and why, making sure it's meaningful. I wonder if do you want to say anything about that or is that enough? I interrupted him. Oh, you're muted.
I was multitasking. Sorry, I couldn't find my toolbars anymore.
No problem. We were just talking about expanding internationally.
Yeah, I mean, the board did talk about expanding not only internationally, potentially, with our Denver office as well. There have been opportunities emerging, but we want to, we want to be grounded first. So once we move to the new office, we don't want to be too aggressive. Make sure that we have a strong presence in Boston first and then expand further. But that doesn't stop us from exploring or discussing those potentials.
Yeah, and it's already on our to-do for what we want to talk about regarding during the strategic plan. And I think too, it's really important to note that the foundation's been around since 2000, but we've actually only been doing programming since 2018. So we're very, very young in the organization world. So we want to make sure we don't go too big too fast, but we want to research and think about all of these ideas. So thank you for that, Dennis.
In the last year, because of the pandemic, most of the programs have been running online, and that actually opened up more opportunities for a broader audience to participate. And so that could be another way to try it out without, instead of having in-person international program or national program, we can try with the online platform first. Yeah,
absolutely. Ben, did you have something you wanted to say?
I'm just going to follow up on what you were kind of talking about, looking at the strategic plan and what work the foundation does already in Boston. I was curious, I think, the programs that are ongoing that we did when we were in office were great. I've worked with other kind of nonprofit groups when I was in another place in St. Louis that they kind of did a similar thing, but more on the more kind of hands-on, I guess. So it was like building things with kids. And I'm curious if, in the work of the foundation, you've kind of looked at how we're situated amongst other foundations or nonprofits that are kind of doing work with with the youth in the Boston area, and how we kind of can work within that network and kind of support each other.
Yeah, I love that question. Like I said before, there's so much work that needs to be done to make change, and we really do want to co-create change. So to do that, we need to work with all of our partners. There are so many amazing groups doing very complementary work in Greater Boston. And so we've started working, there's a series of specifically youth in design serving organizations that meet regularly. So we've been sitting in on those meetings. And then actually Anna and I have it on our to-do for the next couple of weeks to start making a more exhaustive list of everybody in the region doing this kind of work so that we can really know. We don't want to step on anybody's toes or do this, do the same thing that they're doing, but we want to expand what we're all doing. And so I think that's a really important question that we still have to dive into, and it's on our strategic plan as well. In terms of foundations doing similar work, I haven't found any. So I still need to do a lot of research. I'm brand new, but I think we're really cutting edge on this in the foundation world. Other questions, thoughts for what we should be doing?
Ben, to sort of respond to your question, another potential avenue is the social good fund that we're exploring. The firm at the James announced that at the year-end meeting last year that the firm is committing 10% of the profit for a wide array of different commitments, including low pro bono projects. So with kids involved, if it's a real project with a real tangible outcome, final product, certainly we can discuss that potential as well.
Yeah, that's a great plug for that as well. I participated in some of those conversations with James, and I think that he'll probably be having another one too. So if anybody's wants to be more connected with that too, I can definitely loop you in. Probably some newer people on the call, but yeah, thanks Jen and Tao for your answers. I think it's interesting how we're situated with other people that are doing these things and how we can work together.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, you just both of you just pinged my memory a little bit. In the summertime, when we work with the youth teams, we split them up into teams, and they do actually work on one of your projects. So if anybody has a project idea that, even if it's past the point of needing any input or feedback, but if there's something that we can give them that's a tangible railroad project that they could go to and visit and see and say, I really wanted to figure out how I would have designed this plaza. That's really helpful. So think about any projects you're working on right now that we could work with the young people on over the summertime. I know Meredith's going to send out an email soon asking folks for that. And it doesn't have to be Sasaki projects. If there's community members here who have a really cool project you're working on, feel free to send it our way. Other questions, thoughts? I was going to throw in a slide and I ran out of time, but I know that Sasaki's really big on what do you do aside from being a planner or designer. So what I was going to say is, and my partner's here somewhere, he's probably multitasking, but I'm a musician, not like that. I don't play the guitar, but I'm a singer. So I have a really fun group and we sing together, usually at Arts at the Armory, but we're not going to be there any longer, in Somerville. And I'm the youngest by 20 years. And we are called Tongue in Cheek, and we sing cheeky cover songs on a theme. And so our next show was meant to be 2 weeks ago, but it got postponed due to the pandemic. And so it will be back in the saddle, because hopefully we'll be back in the saddle after this crazy pandemic. So I'll let you all know when we sing again. That's my fun fact.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't spoken about all the movies you've made.
Now, let me tell you, the other day, I was on the phone I'm transitioning out of my last job. And so I've got like 3 projects I'm closing out on. The lawyer for the city of Cambridge goes, "Did you know that there's an actress with your name?" And I said, "Yeah, she's like one of the most famous actresses in the world." He goes, "I just heard about her this weekend." This was 2 weeks ago. So I get that a lot, especially if she's here and she's doing any sort of filming in Boston. Every time I go and pick up my food, they're like, "Is it you?" And I say, "It is. I'm the original Jennifer Lynn."
Yeah, I think that would be very useful for restaurant reservations and all sorts of things.
One would think I would get like some sort of fancy seats, or I don't know, going up in the queue to get my hair done. No, I didn't get nothing.
I think you should just invite her to come do a Sasaki Foundation event on Don't Look Up as a Parable for Climate Change.
I know, right? We watched that recently and I said, maybe we could get her.
Oh yeah, I watched that as well.
We could get her.
You were good in that film.
Thank you very much. I try.
Here in Boston.
Yeah, right here in Boston. That when she was filming that, everybody thought I was her going to pick up my takeout or whatever I was going to. And it's like, I think she has people that do that for her. Let me see. Any other thoughts, questions? We can talk about movies. We can talk about music. We can talk about the foundation. Oh, well, thank you all so much. I so appreciate you all taking time after your really, really busy days. And especially the community members that are here. I don't know how you found out about it, and I'm so happy you did. Thank you for being here. It makes us very happy to know that our word is getting out there further than just our community.